Hello, everyone. I'm North Hempstead Town Supervisor Judy Bosworth. The town board and I are proud to present a very special At Home with North Hempstead program, celebrating the life and legacy of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., one of the most influential leaders of the 20th century. The role he played in the American Civil Rights Movement would forever change the face of history and alter the direction of this country. It's extraordinarily important that we follow the path that Dr. King paved for us. We must all find the courage to stand up and fight for human equality, dignity, and justice for all. While so much has been done, there is still much work left to do.
Hi, my name is Bernice Roberts and I'm from Newcastle. I was born in Kellerton, Alabama. This is about, I think, 60 miles from Montgomery. And after, we lived, it was hard coming up because everything we had, my dad had to work for it. We had to preserve the foods for the summer, for the winter, so that we would have, because my only income that my dad had was farming. He did a lot of farming, as I would say, a lot, because he had 25 acres of cotton. That's a lot. And we raised everything we had to eat, the corn. We even had the cows. We milked the cows. We churned and made our own butter. And it was a great experience with the cooking because during that time, we did not have electricity. And we had to make a fire. Every time, I don't care if it was 100 degrees, we made a fire to cook. And we also made a fire for our heating at night. And my father and my brothers prepared with the wood. And we also had a spring that we had to go and bring the water to the house. And to bring that water was for cooking, taking a bath, washing, and everything. But we did it, we managed. And we had chickens, we had hogs that my dad killed hogs. He made sausage. We cooked all of that. He made that, and we made the lard. Well, during that time, there was lard. It wasn't like we could go out and get the Mazola now and stuff like that. But anyway, that's what we did. And I wasn't ashamed. We cooked. We had plenty of food to eat. We never went hungry. We shared with the neighbors, because whatever my dad raised was the best. He was a good farmer. And I'm very proud to say that I lost him like last year. He was 100 years old. And I'm grateful because how my coming up helped me to help my children and my neighborhood. And in my church, I tell them about, like Easter, I had guests at my house. And we were talking about how we came up and what we had to do to get where we are today, and how we didn't have bathrooms, which was very important. And we were saying at that particular time, we didn't have bathrooms, we had the outside toilets and everything, but we were all clean. Whatever we had was very clean. There was no dysentery or nothing. Now there's all kinds of diseases going around. And we had the running water, you can shower and whatever. Everybody was kept clean, and everybody knew how to keep their homes and their food. The children were kept, very clean and taken care of. So it was a great experience. And like years ago, my daughter finished college, and she had like several of her friends over. And she says, "Mommy, I want you to," she prepared the meal and everything. She says, "I want you to just tell my friends how you came up." And I did, and they was like, when I got finished telling them how I came up, some of them was crying. And because I was like a little girl and my mom and dad separated, and like 6 years old, I was not tall enough to stand up to the stove, so he put the chair backward at the stove. And since I was like 6 or 7 years old, I have been cooking. And that's how, and I learned so much I grew up as a child, as an older lady. At an early age, I had to do these things. I worked in the field, I cooked, washed and ironed. I did all of that by my hands, no machines. And it's a great experience, and I talk about it because I'm not ashamed of it, and I'm grateful God was good to me. And I had experience that a lot of people never had the experience, and a lot of people had the same experience, but they don't want to talk about it. They make believe they didn't know, which they did know. If they came from Alabama, they knew all about it. And I'm not ashamed to say it, but I'm happy. And I learned so much. And what I learned, I share with other people to talk and tell what. And today I can direct the young people, don't do this, don't say that. And the most important thing, coming up, we learned 3 things: to be love, discipline, and respect. Those 3 things that we had to do. And that we would not say or do anything to embarrass the family. And we learned that as a little kid coming up. And this is what I teach my kids and my nieces and grandkids and stuff. So it's very important to me. And I said, you have to do unto others, you would have them do to you. And you have to love everybody. And if they say, what if she doesn't speak to you? I said, oh, if she didn't speak, forget about it, because you did your part. And you can smile, it doesn't cost anything, it increases your face value. Oh my. Yes, when I first started the school, we had to walk like miles. I would say seemed like to me, it was like, I know at least 4 miles. And when we started out, school was in a church. And all of the different age kids were in the same church because we did not have a school. And we all was in the school together, and we walked to school, and if we got there late, the teacher was very strict. If we got there late, she paddled us in the hands was frozen, but she paddled us, and she made the ones that was at the front of the heater to get to the back and let us sit front. And we had to walk to and from school every day. And I think when I got in 7th grade, we got a school bus. Oh yeah, it was different because the whites always had schools and they always had the buses, but we didn't have. I thought it was awful. Like we didn't have, I think we had about 2 books, and we had to share that book. So we could not bring that book home. And if she did let one child bring it home today, you had to bring it back tomorrow, and you had to share it. With the math and stuff like that, the reading, it was sad. We just didn't have. And that's what I say, we didn't have, but then you learn to appreciate what you do have. We didn't have, but I was so eager to learn. When I learned to add and subtract, I was a genius. I taught everybody else how to do it. At first, when I started the school, I didn't talk because my dad thought something was wrong. I didn't talk, I wouldn't say a word. So my grandfather came to sit in the back of the class to see what was happening. So I still didn't talk. So then my dad said to me, what's wrong? And I get home, I had a big mouth because I was the only girl and I had 5 brothers. So why can't you talk? You talk here. So then my father came to sit in the back of the class, same thing, I wouldn't say a word. So they thought something was wrong. So, but then my dad came and he says, he brought me home and he gave me a spanking. He says, I want you to talk, you're going to school to learn. So the next day I came to school, I started talking and was the boss of the class. And it was funny because like the teacher said, if a child needed help, I was the boss. I was like running, helping, because I learned to do it. And I knew how to do it before, but I wasn't talking. So nobody thought I could talk. So, but it was a good experience to show and to help. And I love helping somebody. I like to do that now, And I learned so much, and it's better to help and to give. And God, I always say my prayer every day, like God blesses me. If I can help somebody else, I love helping people. That's my prayer every day. And if I can help somebody, He blessed me, that I myself can take care of myself. So, which is a good thing. And here I am, and I'm happy and I'm blessed. And I'm in and out of this building with all the exercise and the yoga classes, and you should see me flip over. Yeah, it's amazing. You wouldn't believe at my age the things that I can do, and I'm happy about that, I was reading the paper one day, and it had in the paper, if you finished high school and you had a high school diploma, if you could read and write, they would send you to New York. They would send you your fare, and we would take the bus, and they would bring us into New York City, and you would live in a home with a family, and you would work as that, take care of the kids and cook or whatever, do whatever you have to do. So I saw that, I says, well, and I says, I have to get out of here. My dad said, well, wherever you go, you have to work. I says, I know it, I don't mind it. At least when I work, I will get paid, because at home, I worked like a dog and didn't get anything. And I says, well, I'm willing to go. So I saw that article, and I applied for it. So they sent it back, and I had to fill it out, Social Security, and age, and everything. and let them know that I could read and write. And so they sent me my ticket, and they sent the time that I was supposed to be there. So I got the letter like today, and like I had like 3 days, and I packed up. I took the bus. We went into Birmingham from my home. We took the bus there, and we came into New York City, and we got the subway. It was like when I got to Birmingham, I left my home. I was like the only one on the bus, but when I got to Birmingham, it was like 30 people, and everybody was coming to New York on the same accord as I was coming. So we got here, I met this lady. She came to pick and choose who she wanted. And so I got picked. The first lady that interviewed me, she liked me, and she took me. But some of the girls, they were interviewed like by 6 or 7 people before they got picked. So the first lady, Martha Weissman, she picked me, and she took me to her home right on Alicia Drive, 518 Alicia Drive, right here in Westbury. And she had a husband and 2 little kids. So that's where I was. And a lot of my friends that came up when I did, we met and exchanged addresses. They went into their homes, and they didn't like them. They sent them back because they said they were lazy, didn't know what to do. But me, I had all of that experience. I could clean, I could cook, I could do everything because I had did it already. And it's not like knowing. It's a difference if you can do something. You can, if you know it, you can do it. And I was able to keep the house and took care of the kids and stuff. So I stayed there with the families until I met my husband. Well, I met him the second day after I got here. And that was my prayer too in my journal. You know how you write down what you want? And I believed in it. I wrote down exactly what I wanted, and I asked God, I says, I'm gonna leave and go to New York. I'm sick of here, it has to be something better. And I says, I want to try. My dad said, but you've never been to New York. Why are you going to New York? I says, I have to try. Don't go, he says to me. I says, I'm going. I want to go. I said, and if I get there and if it's not what I like, and if I can't find work, I said, I'm not afraid of work. If I can find work, I can do it. I said, but if I can't find work, I will be back. Because at my home, there was no work. There was no transportation or nothing. So anyway, I managed. I got here. I was a little homesick at first because it was the first time. But the family was very lovely to me. And I learned how to do things and how to when I was leaving the house, I said, I have to go for a walk. So I wrote down the address. So I said, I can't get lost. So I did that. And then I met my church, the Westbury Area Zion Church right here on Grand Boulevard. That was the first place I met was a church, so I needed a church to attend church. But it was a great experience, and I'm thankful. The white friends, and I had black friends, because in my hometown I didn't have any white friends, because in Alabama, it was like they had it all like whites came in the front, they had the big sign, and for the blacks, they had a big sign in the back, colored, you go to the back. So that's what we had to do. All my life coming up, it was like the back. It was like you couldn't come in the front like that and associate with the white kids. When I got here, it was like I was amazed. It was like I felt like a new person because it was segregation was here. But they didn't do it in Alabama. You only knew how far you could go. You knew what to say and when to say it. Because when I got here, I met a lot of white friends. I met a lot of white friends. And the main thing when I got here was there was no separation. You had to go, you went in the same places the whites went. They went in the back, in the front. We came in the front too. To get on the buses, you couldn't ride the buses down there. It was a maze to get here. Wherever we went, wherever I went, I'm like the drugstore, wherever. It was like I couldn't believe it that I could go and enter the same place that they went. Yeah, the schools was like segregated here, and like they had the store in Roosevelt Fields. We would go there, and if we were in line to buy food and stuff like that, they would wait. They would not serve us. And they would serve everybody else, and you standing in line. And if you were in line, and when they get to us, they would ignore you like they didn't see you. And the people come, if they was black, they wouldn't serve us. Of course, I came from Alabama. I did it all my life. I felt strange. And I felt, too, that I was just as important as anybody else. I don't know about nobody else, how they think and feel about themselves, but I think highly of myself. And the color of the skin has nothing to do with it. It's really how you feel, and that all comes from the heart. We did have at the time where people came and they taught we could go, like demonstrations they had. If you wanted to march, you could go and join that. And they also said, you know, whatever you do, you got to be careful in whatever you're doing, because you never went out alone by yourself. You always went with a group, and to know how far to go, what you could do and what you can't do, and what was safe and what was not safe. So we all was taught whatever we do, we had to do it the right way. And you believe in yourself, and whatever you do, you treat, even if somebody slammed the door in your face, don't get upset. You open the door and go out. They see you coming out there, slam the door. So what? Let them slam the door. Because I learned too, they really didn't hurt me. They hurt themselves because, see, I know better. And today I believe in that. If I can come in and say hello, if you don't say hello, who cares? Because I did my part. Yeah, we were marching too to get the kids out, let them go. Because a lot of times, some of them didn't believe in sending the kids to school, to teach, learn, let the kids go to school, and to learn how to come together. If you have a group to come together and vote on things that you want, then you will know how to go out and march for what you want. And we all had to get together on that. And you discuss it and get together. Like now, if you want something, you get together and you go and demonstrate. But there was no violence or nothing like that, you know. There was hoping to change where it could get the schools mixed, because at first at Grand Street School, at Park Avenue School, there was no white kids, and that's what they were trying to do. It was just economic for everybody. Well, they had different schools, and they had Westbury, they had Carr Place, New Hyde Park, and places like that. Yeah, they got bused because Grand Street School started out as a Head Start. Yeah, it started out as a Head Start with the Head Start kids, and then they got bused, and they started to go into Dryden School and Powers Lane School, yes. I met Martin Luther King in Alabama.
Oh, tell us about that.
I met him in Alabama, and how he went to the churches, and the churches that were bombed, where the little kids was bombed. Well, that church was not that far from my home. And we went to school there. Not to school, we went to church there. Not an everyday thing. We had a trip to go on. We had, a couple of our friends had cars. And that's how we went. They took their cars, and it took a few of us there. The bombing was sad. And especially the kids got killed, and it's a scar that you will never forget. And how you remember how the parents, to think that they went to church, and that's what happened at church. And church is supposed to be a safe place, I think that church should be a place that you could go to worship, and not to go to get killed. And every time I enter church now, I'm praying and thanking God that we can come in and be safe in church. But even so now, there's things that are starting to happen in churches all over again. And it's frightening. He talked about how that the black kids were just as important as the white kids, and that the education, he talked to all of us about education is very important, because we need education. And once you get the education, nobody can take it away from you. And he believed in education. He believed in learning, and to do the right thing about everything. He was like peace. He talked about peace and that's what he was about. All his life was about peace, talking about how we can change, and that the white kids are just as good as anybody else, and the black kids are just as good as anybody else. In other words, there was no difference made. And to this day right now, I don't feel no difference in it. Yeah, Jesse Jackson, I met him, and Ralph Abernathy. I met.
Tell us about those.
Yeah, well, it was more or less the same as Martin Luther King demonstration about differences that we could, things that we could do for ourselves. And whatever, we was also taught too that no matter what anybody else says and what everybody else is doing, we really don't have to do that. We can just be ourselves. And if you see something wrong, you know it's not right, so don't get involved in something that's wrong. And to this day, I truly believe in right. If I can't do the right thing by you, I'm not going to help you at all. And if you need advice, if I can help you, I will give you my best advice, nothing to hurt you, but to help you. It was so many people there, and to hear, it was so many people that came from all over. And there was busloads and busloads. We didn't really get, it was so many people, you couldn't get as close as you wanted to. But we were there, the $1 Million March, we was there. And to be in the midst of all of that, it was a good feeling to know that we were able to go. And it says if you want anything you want in life, you gotta work for it, and you have to believe. And we was all praying that things would change. And as the time went by, things have changed a whole lot. And there's still, from not every day, but occasionally you see some of the segregation parts, like if you go, not everybody, very few people, but when you see it, you know it. And it like everybody was praying for the same thing, that things would change. And that's what Martin Luther King believed in, the change. Because he said that the black kids were just as good as the white, and there was no difference in any of us. Because they're just different in the color of the skin, and that's it. Well, sometimes they threw the, what they call it, a little, I wouldn't say a bomb, a firecracker, but when the firecracker go off, of course, you're frightened, because the first thing you think, and even now if I hear a firecracker, I jump because I think it's a bullet or a gun or whatever. Oh, when I first came here, yeah, it was a lot of, like, the help that I came to do, the nannies and whatever, it was a lot of us came. And on Sundays when we got out, we had our days off. My days was Thursdays and every other Sunday. So when we went out together on Thursdays, everybody was off. So I met a lot of people from different places, and they were in like different homes. And I talk about it, and where I lived, it was a good home, but some of them didn't like it. I'm going back home, and I said, because first of all, they did not want to work. And the people that I lived with was very nice. And she sat with me and she talked to me. She wasn't prejudiced. She was Jewish, lovely family, and she had a kosher kitchen. I learned all about the kosher kitchen, the different dishes and the meats and whatever like that. Yeah, so she talked, and she was like a motherly. She gave me that advice because she knew that I did not know about it. And so I learned so much from her. It was black owned, some black owned, but it was mostly white. Like certain areas around here was only like white people lived there. And then as the time went by, they started to move out. Because I know all of Newcastle mostly used to be a lot of white, and they have moved out. And certain sections here in Westbury is nothing but black because the whites moved out. I would want them to know that you have to learn for yourself and that you are somebody. And whatever you do, you go to school, get your best education, and learn. It's very important that you get your education, because once you get it, nobody can take it away. And you don't have to come up the way I came up, because we didn't even have at that particular time the schools. We couldn't go to college, but now I give them the advice: you go to school, go to college, you have everything here. All you have to do is reach out and get it. And the kids nowadays, they have so much. And I said, we learn to appreciate everything. Now the kids nowadays here, they don't appreciate it. And I said to them, whatever you have, you appreciate it, because your mom and dad is not taking it off of trees. And you know, they get shoes, and I had one pair of shoes as a kid, and I put that pair of shoes where nobody could step on it, and every day I would go hug and kiss my shoes. Now they have 5 or 6 different pairs, and there's a shoe here and a shoe over there, because they don't appreciate nothing. And I tell them, you gotta, whatever you have, you take care of it. You know, like being clean, you take care of yourself, where you live, and be, my main thing is I teach them to be respectful. Be respectful, not only to me, but to everybody you know. And you got to respect the seniors, the elders. When you see them coming, move to the side, let them pass. Don't run into them and knock them down, because that's what most of the kids are doing now. And I started to tell them about how I came up and this stuff. You had to do all of that? I said, yes. And you don't have to do that. You have a chance to go to school, make something out of yourself. I believe in discipline, and you learn how to treat everybody. And if you don't, and I believe the mothers, instead of asking the kids what you want to do, don't ask them what they want to do. Tell them what you want them to do. This is how they're going to learn. Because if you leave it up to them, when they get 7 years old, they're not going to go to school. You're going to ask them if they want to go to school. So we as adults, we have to teach the kids. Don't get involved in that. If you do that, you might get killed, and you're going to do this and you're going to do that. But I said, as long as I did it the right way, we did it the right way. And we went with groups, and we did it spiritually. It wasn't violent. And I said, yeah, we did it. And like we used to get together to go eat where we know we couldn't. The store in Roosevelt Field was Woolworth's. We waited and we waited. And one time we went, and they didn't serve us. And I had my kids, they were little. We ordered what we wanted. She took the order, but when we waited and waited, she never did bring it back. So I figure about 45 minutes later, she came back with it. And when she came back with it, was already, she had put the hot dogs and stuff, the mustard and ketchup and stuff on it, what we wanted. She brought everything we wanted back, like 45 minutes later. And the kids was like, Mommy, but we hungry, we waiting. So when she did bring it back, just as she was bringing it back, I decided to leave. And so I was leaving. She was like, Miss, come back. So I walked away with the kids, and they said, Mommy, why did you say we hungry, we wanted to eat? I said, but it waited so long, and it wasn't fair what she did, because she must have served like 20 people before she came to get my order. I just wanted everybody to change. And you know, treat us like we're somebody too, you know. And then the lucky thing about it, I met my husband the first day. I found, from Alicia Drive, I found how to get to Post Avenue. I walked, and I met him on Post Avenue. The second day after I got here. And I had a little yearbook that I write in about things that I wanted in my life. And I says, I know it has to be a better place than here, and that somewhere that I can better myself and I can improve, and I want to change. But I know if I stayed in Alabama at the time, I would not be able to do it. I couldn't do it because there was no opportunities other than working on a farm and whatever, you know, and working for nothing. Amazing now in Alabama, things have really changed. They tore down, they built up, and the kids they all go to the same schools now. It's amazing. And I tell them, I say, you all are rich. You have it from the beginning. We didn't have it. And and I said, you should appreciate more what you have, because you have it all here, and all you have to do is reach out and use what you have, you know. And me, I had to work and strive. I had to, as they say, I had to work from sun up to sundown. And I do a lot of cooking and coordinating things at my church. We have 18 churches on my district, and I am the superintendent of the Buds of Promise. Those are kids ages 1 through 12. And in each church, I have a superintendent that works with me. And we have 4 mass meetings a year, and at each mass meeting, we have workshops. And the kids, we take them out on trips and stuff, and they're learning. In my church, I'm deaconess president. I serve the communion and set that up, and on the usher board, and class leader. I have a lot of members in my class, and if they're sick or wherever, I'm visiting them. I go, and not only my members, I visit different ones, like I told you before, in the hospitals and nursing homes.
Home. That's really
yes,
nice of you.
yeah.
Thank you for joining us for this program. And let us all remain committed to carrying on Dr. King's work and legacy by creating a more just society.